Hey guys, Counterculture episode 5. Dallas is done. I just got home and I'm leaving again tomorrow, and then I'll be back in time for the major. We have Donnie with us. Donnie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy Memorial Day, because that's when we're recording it. So anyone in the
Yeah.
U.S.,
Happy Memorial Day to
fucking,
everybody. But
fucking great time to be alive.
great time to be alive. So we totally haven't recorded this intro once before, but
No,
anyways, Vitality in Dallas, man. How you feeling? How you feeling on Dallas? How you feeling on their overall performance? I know you said before that you thought this was going to be their time to lose it, but how you feeling?
yeah, yeah. So with that being said, we totally didn't re-record this, and I'm not happy that we did it because I totally didn't mess up what I was saying the first time. So that's not why we restarted.
Oh
But
no, we
because we
restarted
didn't
because
restart
I'm
at
an
all.
idiot. But
No, we didn't restart. Um, but yeah, I feel like Vitality in the group stage, there was just, to me, something felt different this tournament compared to other ones. They were still like all individually great. They were putting up great performances. They only dropped one map, and that was to Mongols for the decider of like who plays semi, who plays quarter. But yeah, I thought Maus were the best team in the tournament. From group stages alone, they knocked off BC, which it's BC game, but then they kind of decimated a Liquid that looked somewhat decent this tournament. And then Falcons, they destroyed a Falcons that no one on the team showed up for, whether that was Maus's doing or just Falcons only having Monacy play well, up for debate. But yeah, I really just, it was just a gut vibe that Vitality were going to fall off, but then we make it through playoffs. They have a very close series with Falcons, I feel like Falcons' Vitality more so is the Liquid Astralis than Mao's Vitality, because that gets a lot of comparisons, but I feel like as we continue to grow with Falcons, that's what we're going to see more often. And then Mao's got shit on in the finals. So, shit on might be a strong word.
I mean,
Map
I
close.
wouldn't say they didn't get shit on, but the maps
Yeah.
were not as close as the score would lead you to believe.
Yeah, that's, like, map 1 I think was 13-11. I only caught map 3, and from what I saw of map 3, every round that Maus won was kind of just an individual play that sprouted another series of rounds. Like, there was no consistent good form out of Maus in that final, at least from what I was able to see. And that sucks, because I'm a Vitality hater, so...
See, I'm not a Vitality hater. I guess I'm just a ZywOo not a ZywOo hater, but I don't want to. I don't like being a ZywOo dick sucker. I'll censor that, I guess. But no. So I thought they were gonna do it purely in passion. Like watching the games, obviously in person, I was there. Spinks was absolutely on one. Jimmy was absolutely on one
Yep.
for a majority of the event. Torzy is looking like debatably the second best or in contention for the best opera in the world at times. And so to have them have that steady decline over playoffs and sort of just get dumpstered by Vitality through their overall consistency, it's fantastic for Vitality to show that even on their worst day they can keep this shit going in a best of 5. But for Maus, I don't know how to feel about it because you had Torzy pretty much go missing so hard in the final that he was considered almost undeniably the MVP of the event, that it was no one could catch him, and then his monster performance from ZywOo in the finals plus Torzy's fall off cost him the MVP.
Yeah. And, while we speak on this, I did say Maus I thought was the best tournament during group stages, or not the best tournament, the best in the tournament during group stages. But I actually think that the semifinals matchup between Maus and Mongols was very interesting. 13-11, both maps. I got to catch both of those games, and like, I don't know. Mongols is such a fun and exciting team to watch, but there's always just this barrier within playoffs, and I feel like, not to point blame at a particular player because we are in, a team sport, but like Senzu falling off a cliff every time they're on a stage, like if he had just a little more impact, they would have beat Maus, and I think they could have beat Maus somewhat heavy-handedly. Like they lost both maps 13-11 with 9-10 being the only player with a positive rating. Just like a little bit more. And I feel like a Mongols Vitality final actually would have been a lot closer than the Vitality Mouse final that we ended up getting.
I will definitely agree with you on that because as someone who has put probably way too much time into analyzing Aurora and Mongols in the past month, my hot take is that if Senzu does not develop his T-side sensibilities by the end of the year, they should make him into a star anchor because unironically, because he actually, if you look at his performances broken down, it's a very basic analysis, but by the CT and T side thing that I posted, a majority of his performances where he is breaking 100 ADR or getting close are on CT side. He has only had one 100 ADR plus T side performance this year so far. At least I haven't run the stuff for Dallas, but like so he's growing. He's the young gun on the team. He can grow into these roles and these T-side sensibilities. But it's very clear, at least at this point in his development, that he has way more of a CT side leaning. Because if you look at both of the games a majority of the games where Mongols are able to contend against top opposition, they start on CT side because they get that strong lead going. They get all that. They can cover for a lot of their weaknesses in Techno, 4K, and Senzu having their T-side weaknesses. Because even though Techno, how shall we say, has less overall volume, he has very high impact kills.
Yeah.
And that's where I see Mongols' limit right now, is that they could beat Vitality. It is not unreasonable to say they could beat Vitality. And so, unlike Aurora, who I do think need a roster change, I think Mongols are totally fine to just stick where they are. And if Senzu doesn't develop into a true T-side star within like the next year, I say move him to Techno's roles and then pick up another cracked 16-year-old Mongolian out of the LAN cafe and win it all.
Yeah, I actually agree with you a lot, and I didn't think I was going to when you first started explaining that. Because
that's a good thing. Yeah.
No, you did a good job of explaining that. But Aurora change? Because thinking about it, like, look at the team on paper. They have the two young guns. They have Hota and Wakadia. And then there's Woxic, who has in the past and can in glimpses show, like, true star opping potential. Xantares is
he's high variance, but
yeah, and then Major is Major. So who would it be Woxic?
No, it would never work either. And Austin also laughed at me for saying this, so shout out to him.
Right.
But no, I think in the weird meta that we're in right now with aggression and firepower being king, they would never do it. Major should become a coach. Pick one of the five to become the next. Pick one of the existing four to become the IGL. He basically just bangs it into their head, and they bring X-Flout back from Heroic.
Ooh. Okay. Well, no, you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's just bring Calyx back.
No, he's worse. He's just
fun
worse Yoda. He's just worse Yoda.
Yeah, but like, dude, think about, okay, what if we just take Aurora and make it into space soldiers? We could do that. I mean, like, I don't even know.
You're not wrong.
But no, I mean, I don't think that's Aurora. I really wish I could see them play a tournament after, like, I wish they could just take a month-long break. Like,
they did. They literally just did.
They did?
Yeah,
because they dropped out.
Yeah, before Astana or whatever, or before. Yeah, it was before Astana. They had just gotten a month-long break because Dust Moran mentioned that as well, and so it's very strange how they're falling off in this capacity for playoffs, because at the beginning of the year they looked like, out of between the Mongols and Aurora, they looked like the team that was actually going to be able to take it the distance this year and pick up a trophy between the two of them with their multiple grand finals appearances.
Yeah,
but since the beginning of the year, and you can also sort of look at this trend in their last season as well with Calyx, they have really strong starts and then just drop off a cliff. They didn't even attend Shanghai.
Yeah.
And so, they're still attending Austin. So I sort of see this as a progression for them. I want that roster change sort of, but also if they stay the same, it's not the end of the world. but I think that their endurance for participating in the Tier 1 Counter-Strike circuit is their biggest issue right now. And it also doesn't help that Zontaris has also just had a really, really rough second half of the season on T side. You know, for a majority of the season, Wicadia was their best player.
It's true, and I honestly kind of forgot about them not being at, or like having the break in between us.
No, everyone.
Astana
I didn't even realize that
Bucharest
they
was
had
before
one.
that? Something like that. But yeah, it's very like, okay, if we're gonna talk about like Astana, right, which I know isn't Dallas, but it was directly before it. You can't, if you're Aurora, you can't lose the semifinals to Astralis.
No.
I like.
To
I
Hooksy?
understand that it's a new Astralis with Hooksy, and I rate Hooksy greatly.
No, I highly
Obviously,
rate Hooksy as an
yeah.
IGL, but like,
you are supposed to be, a competitor. You're supposed to be someone that actually can compete for these trophies, and you have that chance. And the only team in front of you is Spirit, realistically, in this tournament, and maybe Mongols, but you beat them in the quarterfinals, and then you lose to Astralis. Like, I do think that is an unexcusable loss, especially after that break that they
no, that's exactly it.
continuously complained about. I mean, not complained about, I don't mean that in a negative way, but they consistently said that we don't have any time in our schedule. We're so packed, which they were, but then you just kind of blew it as soon as you had the chance to. And that might sound harsh, but Astralis, like,
Astralis,
that's unforgivable.
Uriri, like Panda. No, but like, no, it's Aurora are in such a unique position because they had the potential in order to take trophies, and now, like I said, they've just fallen off a cliff. And especially events like Astana, you know, like getting to Astana is way easier than getting to the US for them. You know, if I could make that speculation, I feel like that's a fair speculation.
I would agree.
So it's not even like they were exhausted getting to Astana. And so I think one of the major things that we will look at now as a factor in professional Counter-Strike as people start to get older, you know, looking at people like Rain for a great example of this. 19-year-old Senzu does not have a family, like wife and kids, that he misses every event. Yeah, he misses his mom and dad, but he doesn't have a family that he has to take care of.
Yeah.
Being away from your wife and kids for a month versus not having a wife and kids to miss at all, I think is a pretty substantial factor in the grind for them. And it is obviously, you know, Major has never hid the fact that he is a family man and how much they mean to him. And so I think that it's purely just that they're all homesick and they're still developing the muscles for participating in every single tournament at the Tier 1 level. And so I think this season has been a great stepping stone for them, and the fact that they even made this major is a great sign. But we'll need to see either a change or some continued step-ups from them next season to show that progression of them stabilizing as a Tier 1 team. Or who knows, maybe they'll have to pluck someone from the new Eternal Fire lineup if anything happens with it.
Dude, honestly, good on Eternal Fire for having a roster with like some names that bring excitement to it. Their Eternal Fire gives me the same vibes as like Heroic, where they can just like, they could just lose everything and still be like, hey, we got this.
I don't know if anyone can ever do that as good as Heroic, man.
Oh, like, no one can. No one can.
That so wait, who's it? Let me just double. So right now, Eternal Fire is Calyx, Immor, M-Star, Jersey, and Lungson.
Yeah, see, Calyx is there. I'm telling you, I'm onto something about Calyx.
Why are you such a big Calyx, man? Share me your secrets.
I don't know.
Why?
Honestly,
the dude had a .92 against top 20 opposition last year. So what am I missing?
Dude, I need to check exactly what major it was. I'm pretty sure it was the E-League major.
Are you trying to fucking res him?
No, because they like. I have a very formative memory of them beating a team that I really liked. And wait, I'm checking. I don't remember what major it was, but I know that it was on Cobblestone. It might have been a French
that tells
team.
you how long ago it was.
Yeah, and like it was like they prevented the team from making playoffs, and I was crushed. And Calyx was the player that I remembered in my little teenage formative brain. so it's a grudge, maybe.
Yeah, it's a grudge, man. You know, he was cracked 8 years ago. When did we lose? When did we lose Cobble? Fucking
You know, it's crazy that Calix is still relatively pretty young. He's
no,
26.
they're all pretty young. Like, well, obviously not Major and
Major, yeah, but he's been around.
yeah, but you know, Zontaras is only like 26, 27, right?
Yeah. Yeah, which, I mean, like, and there's still so much potential for the roster, and, like, you brought up roster changes. I think there's a chance for that, but I don't necessarily think that's the right direction. I think that it's a lot of a mental game. I don't know if they have, I'm assuming they would have, like, a mental coach and
You would hope the move from Eternal Fire to Aurora would get them more resources, but
yeah.
we don't know.
I don't know, but, like, I do just feel like for Mongols, I think a big problem is their age and maybe just some of the players not being the best under pressure, which is a separate conversation of itself. Aurora should just beat these teams, and I think it is just a mental block. You brought up the whole family thing, how they're all very like their life outside of Counter-Strike sounds very important to all of these players. Which is very good in terms of just like, you know, human beings.
Yeah,
but
being a normal person.
Yeah, but like I feel like you can see that be in effect within their games, and that's a very hard problem to deal with. That Aurora should be trying to facilitate the needs on the mental side for them. Which again, I have no idea. I can't speak on that, but you would hope that that can be ironed out.
You would hope, or at least that they can negotiate or find a way to reach a happy middle ground to where they can actually, you know, participate in a good number of tournaments and have time at home. But I don't know. It's weird. But so doubling back onto something that you mentioned forever ago with the whole Falcons and Vitality thing. One of the things that I tweeted that I do really enjoy it. Ever since we sort of lost Simple, I feel like, you know, it used to be, oh my God, Simple versus Zywoo, Nico versus Simple, you know, Zywoo versus we had our like sort of trifecta, whatever you want to call it. We had this like rock, paper, scissors of star, true elite players that every time these teams clashed, it was a guaranteed marquee matchup. And it feels like we haven't had something like that for a little bit of time. And to see Falcons and Vitality pretty much every single time beat, bloody, and bruise each other down to the 11th hour is exactly what I am hoping for going into this major. Like, you know, give me that Mongols, Maus, Vitality, not Navi actually, so tangent for them later. But because like, no, fuck it now. We talked enough about Vitality. Fuck it. Fuck structure. Who cares about structure? Who cares about structure?
I don't. I'm here for anything.
Man. But where the hell is Navi? What the hell happened to them, man?
You know what? I had a like revelation the other day of the same question of just like damn, I haven't even seen their name in I feel like months. I'm gonna check because I couldn't tell you the last tournament they were at, to be 100% honest with you. It was
they were at Astana and they lost to Astralis.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's why I don't remember. It's because I blocked it out of my head. But I like Navi needs roster changes. I know people say like, "Oh, we got to see how they do with the major." No, Navi needs changes. And I think the chopping block is so you keep Alexi B, obviously, and you keep it obviously. And then you either choose between Wonderful to get rid of depending on the people around it. Or you choose one of JL or Imma. I am. Whatever the fuck his name is. See, I don't remember how
I call him Imma because that's what the casters do.
I call him Imma too, but I just said I think, and then it's been a really long weekend for me.
Hey man, I stuttered and stumbled my way through so many media segments at the event. It's okay.
But and I think so this is I'm pretty sure Navi has I might just be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure Navi said that they were open to working with Russian players again.
I don't know that for a fact.
I don't know that for a fact either. I feel like I heard that somewhere, and the only reason I bring that up is because I think Art Frost needs another chance at Tier 1, and I think him replacing Wonderful on this Navi roster would be a lot of fun.
Okay. Ooh, okay. So here's your clarifier. They won't work with Russian players, but I think it's only as long as they live within Russia.
Okay.
So like if they're a non-tax contributing, like if you're a Russian guy who lives in, Poland type shit. But
Yeah.
I also think Art Frost, he just kind of vanished and maybe he got caught up in the ascension of, Donk's hype with the tournament win that they got just before bringing in Shiro. But, I Wonderful is he's not an elite opper, and the thing that Navi always had going for them is that, as even stated by their own coach, they were a bunch of tier 2 players in CS:GO that he
Yeah.
picked up in order to tactically, be unquestioned, and look what it got them. And so now that they're not tactically and individually keeping up with what they were able to perform last year, JL is not going to be a top 5 player this year like he was last year, in my opinion. Like their just individual fall off is so insane now that true firepower is starting to bleed through that I don't even know how to fix Navi. One of the interesting things you could do that someone else much smarter than me said, I don't remember who, it might have been Maui or Thorn or someone, but uh, maybe it was Austin. I don't know. Getting previously, Elige had an offer from Navi.
Really?
Yes, he had an offer from Navi when they were building the roster that they had that won the major. And
In
so,
okay.
yeah, and so that was around the same time that he had. I think that was around the whatever. But basically, he has had an offer from Navi in the past. Navi need firepower. Elige needs structure, and Navi seem to not be a vibes team. They seem to be a tactically driven performance professional team, whereas FaZe is a lot more of a vibes team.
Right.
And I'm not saying they swap Ema in Elige or JL in Elige, but like maybe sell Elige to Navi and he could get in there and play some of those star roles. Have, Blade tell him to shut the hell up and just do what he's told. We are not going to change our comms and do what you would like. We are going to do what has won us multiple majors and Grand Slams.
Yeah, and honestly, like thinking about it, if FaZe needs someone to keep the vibes up, because if you've seen the videos they've been putting out and like just all the media around that team, it's seemed like it's very depressing there. JL's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy.
He's
Also,
he
Skulls
makes
fit the vibe
faces
pretty
and
well too, surprisingly.
yeah, I Skulls. I feel like he has potential, but just somehow never. Yeah, this might sound mean, but I feel like he just never quite does enough to secure his position anywhere. There's glimpses of greatness, and he does seem like he's got a good mind for the game, but like certain positions that he plays, it just feels like he doesn't know what he's doing sometimes. Um, and it's sad to see because I like Skulls. I think
Yeah,
he's a
no,
fun
I
player
liked him
to
when he was
watch
on
when he's having
Liquid.
good games. Yeah, but he just like if FaZe was doing the Skulls stand-in as a potential, like, oh, Rain's getting old, maybe this could work. It didn't, and you definitely know that now. But FaZe with Simple, I was a believer. I'm not gonna, or not a non-believer. I thought that Simple coming back, although being great for Counter Strike in general, I just didn't think he could do it. Um, looks rusty, but
But it's
definitely
there.
looks like,
It's there.
yeah, no,
It's
it's
still
there,
there.
dude,
It's still there.
100%.
Oh my god. Random aside for a Rain replacement. Honestly speaking, depending on what Falcons do with the Kioske signing, honestly, and I said this to Tesses too when I went to the signing session. Tesses or Shush to FaZe.
I love Shush.
Dude, Shush is putting up like a 1.25 in anchor rolls on Nip.
Dude, and trust me, he was a name that at Frag Vegas, he was a name that was getting called on. Like he had some. Not only did he just have good performance over round, he had like very impactful and impressive plays. Um,
Oh yeah, wait, this is the first time I've gotten to see you since that event because we've just been so
yeah.
busy. Give me some rundowns about that. Like
Um,
Frag Vegas, man, with actual like bigger teams attending.
yeah, I will say Fragadelphia is the more Fragadelphia events I get to go to, the more I realize that it's a very tight family there. Like the people who work the Frag events are all very, very close friends of mine now. And all the games, all the days were amazing to cast. Me having the opportunity to cast NRG versus NIP in the semifinals was definitely like at this point in my career, my magnum opus. It was
So that's your
amazing.
reference series if you want anyone to look for you.
Yeah, that like especially map 1 and 2 I casted with Bonament, who that was my first time ever casting with him. Honestly, he made it super easy. But map 3 was with All In, who is like my, mainstay partner. And that was the map that went to overtime twice, and it had just very exciting moments, and you could hear it in my voice. My voice was cracking. I was screaming.
Yeah,
I
I too did.
went to the bathroom and cried after the game, like because I was just so like emotionally just like fuck. That was crazy. Sorry about the whole fuck word. But yeah, Frag Vegas was probably my biggest step forward yet, and I'm excited to continue to work with them. Hopefully at Windsor. We don't know who's working that event yet, but I love Fragadelphia. Watch Fragadelphia, support local Counter Strike, especially with all the teams that are now going there from the Impact scene, from Europe, from South America. Just everywhere's coming to Frag. We're the best. We're the best.
I'm trying to. So my place where I got my master's recently just announced that they're building a like $1,000. That's like such a fucking terribly small budget. A like $1 million.
Oh damn.
Yeah, like esports arena on campus because they don't have a football team, and so I've just been like,
Wait, where is it?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Ooh.
Yeah, East Coast. No, so I'm like,
Okay.
I should once I'm trying to position myself to be in a place where I can be like, hey, I know just the person to reach or just the people to reach out to once we get this arena open.
I mean, there was a Frag in Miami.
That's my point, right? It's a little bit further north. It's a little bit like cheaper. It's a little bit better in terms of like not being expensive as fuck. But no, complete tangent. But no, Fragadelphia is something that I definitely, once I have a bit more of a stable cable going, I want to try and get myself out to some of those events. But it's phenomenal to see that, teams like NIP are coming out here to like raise the overall level of the event.
Yeah.
Due to the VRS, and it especially makes me think of was it Marsborn who got to prac with Vitality while they were here?
Marsborn put out a tweet, but there's also been there. Marsborn is the one that you're thinking of because they put out the tweet
Yeah.
and just like thanking the European talent. But from what I've heard, there's been like basically any team that's in that ECL range has had so much practice with like actual tier 1 competition as of recent, which is exactly what we need. I know NA tournaments are there's always shit around them and people aren't happy about it necessarily always, but like these type of events are the best way to grow our scene outside of local competition. And I really hope that all the teams that do get the chance to scrim, against like your Vitalities, your Phases, your Navis, all those, like they have to learn from those players and get their ass kicked from those players so they can know what it's like to be at that level.
Right. They have to actually get into leave the pond and get into the ocean. But the thing that is sort of it was always talked about getting another NA Pro League or whatever, getting people to be here for an extended period of time. They sort of kind of did that between Austin and Dallas because many teams are just staying here for the month.
Yep.
Because
why
not?
3 weeks or something?
And if that's going to be like the idea going forward or a model going forward, that could be really cool. Of like whatever the event is before the major schedule wise, and I get that Dallas is generally the same time every year, but being able to have 2 events in an area back to back, a smaller event and then the major, that sort of facilitates the same type of investment that a pro league used to, where everyone's just there for a month playing Face It, playing this. Like,
Yeah.
it's great to see.
there's even like there's kind of ways around that, so you're not necessarily visiting the exact same market. Like if we did, Dallas will most likely return next year, but like just for example, if there was a major in Canada, right?
Right.
So it's a completely different market that you're reaching with the actual major event and the tickets and selling all that stuff, but you're still getting the same type of impact within the region as a whole for
Mm-hmm.
North America. Like those would be some great steps forward, and they should also do that with Asia. Like I know that the Asian Counter Strike tournaments are not necessarily few and far between, but it's a lot harder for that market to get what they want because of the time zone differences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like like the growth there is, I kind of want to say exponentially faster than the growth in North America.
No, I was
So
talking to some guys at the event who
yeah,
are Chinese. They know the Chinese Counter Strike scene. They know what's up, and they're like, "Yeah, man, it's growing.
yeah,
It's been sparked." Shanghai really did light the match.
I fully expect that. This might not be a popular take, but I fully expect that Asia and Oceania, just like the general Eastern Asia, will surpass NA eventually.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I mean,
just by like pure number of people that will be playing it there compared to here, like, and also it is a little bit easier for people, especially in like China and like Mongolia. It's a little bit easier for them to compete with European players just because of geography and shit. So I give it. I'd say by 27, we're gonna have a lot more impact from Asian teams.
yeah, the thing that I'm also excited about is that if we do get that impact and we get more, say, like Chinese players, then we have our Australian players. If we can activate, so we have China, Mongolia, Australia. If we can activate, either South Korea or Japan or the Philippines, that's multiple regions in that time
Yeah,
zone. So now you have justified viewership for a major in that time zone, justified viewership for a European major, and then you have, North America, South America, justification for viewership for majors here, and that gives a base for pretty much cutting the world into thirds. But it gives a base for every region to actually have support and enough of a player base to have lower tier tournaments.
yeah. I do think that I think Counter Strike will in time kind of surpass and be the biggest global esport. I don't want to say the biggest esport in specific regions because, like, in Europe, CS is. But then when you go into Asia, you like Thailand. There's a lot of Apex players. There's a lot of PUBG players.
Oh yeah.
And then like Valorant's still huge there. They're obviously playing your MOBAs and stuff too. But I think that given the growth that has started within Asia, and then once China starts to really like blossom, that's just going to trickle down into the other Asian countries. I do think that CS will be the biggest global esport very soon. I hope.
I would hope, but I would never ever speculate. We could get surpassed by GeoGuessr. You never know anymore. But
Yeah,
like
GeoGuessr are ripped. All right,
hey, I tried it for the first time. It's actually pretty great. But no, I mean, you got stuff like League. You have stuff like StarCraft, which I don't know if that's even big anymore, but I always think of it as a marquee title for
that's still
esports. I always think of that as a big name, and so I think Counter Strike is just the most easy to get into, I guess. I've always kind of referred to it as the like football, baseball of esports because it's actually really simple to understand. Everyone has the same. There's no heroes. There's no nothing. Everyone has the same tools, and quality of play is individual skill expression with those tools. So anyone can sit down at a computer and immediately try to do what they just saw. Versus, okay, I'm going to queue for this game. Pray I get this hero. Pray. Like it's so much simpler. And so having these players, especially nowadays, when I sort of, again, like how we lost Simple, we had Monacy coming up. We didn't really know what the landscape was going to look like. And now we have Zywoo, Donk, Monacy, Nico. We have, he's not in that category yet, but the performance he's put on this year would arguably put Torzy up in that category for at least his performance thus far this year. And to have such high quality talent playing each other all the time, that's what will really grow us. Because if someone just tunes into a random ass event and we get Nip versus Omcall again versus whatever, instead of tuning in and seeing, Mongols play Vitality in an arena chanting their names while everyone's screaming. Like, that's the stuff that will get people to take it much more seriously and give it a lot more validity. And I just can't wait, purely because I know it's going to be so much fun. But we do need a Canada major, though. Like, how the hell has that not happened?
I might be sort of biased because I have a lot of friends in the like Canadian esports scene. But like, dude, the market in Canada is huge. Like, I've been an advocate for them to come back to New York, like ESL and IEM New York. But dude, if they had a tier 1 event in Toronto,
oh yeah,
that would 100% like sell out immediately. They have been desperate. I think the only Canadian tournament I can think of besides Fragadelphia coming back is there was a minor for the major in Canada. 20 Zeus was playing for Immortals during it. So I guess that would have been like 2018 ish, give or take. Maybe 17, maybe 19.
Who cares?
I don't really know, but like Canada so desperately wants and needs a tournament.
Well, they also have a Grand Slam and a major winner, two Grand Slams and a singular major winner. Like, Twists and NAF have been consistent names for.
And they got Ocean.
That's true. You can never forget him.
He's vast. About that one.
Vast and deep, like the sea. But oh goddamn! Is
there any other Dallas breakdown that we should do?
Not that I can,
because I kind of want to get into the major.
Okay, if you want to get into the major, we can get into the major, because I can't think of anything really other at Dallas, other than shout out to Magisk for one of the most electric 1v5s I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Actually on my feet, punching the air, screaming type stuff, like, oh, that was so good. But no, for the major, into it, it's very clear that Vitality are the favorites going into this major, with their contemporary challengers being Maus, Falcons, and I would say obviously Mongols over Eternal Fire / Aurora, with Aurora, Na'Vi, and I don't want to say G2, even though they're in the rankings. It feels wrong. Like, I feel like Gamer Legion could beat G2 right now, and they had fucking A-Core standing in for them. Like,
yeah, no, like,
no hate to A-Core, he's a nice guy, but
like, come on,
he's
he's
EU.
It does look, it looks a bit goofy. Like, looking at the stages of the major now, because I kind of didn't pay. I've been so glued in on stage 1 that I forgot about stage 2 and 3 and what teams are where. And it's like, stage 3 is Vitality, Maus, Spirit, Mongols, G2, Liquid, and Na'Vi at the bottom end of that. Liquid, I think, has a lot of potential. G2, I don't really rate at all, unless they do that wholesome pious and Saul thing, but that's a completely different conversation for after the major. Right now, I don't rate them. I think they kind of suck. And Na'Vi, we just talked about before, I don't know if it's punching way below their weight or if they're actually finally starting to punch at their weight.
Right, this could be a return to norm.
Yeah, but it's just not good enough. And then you look at stage 2, you got Falcons in stage 2, which, feels like a bit criminal. Honestly, that's kind of the only one I would disagree with. Maybe FaZe. No. Counter-Strike is weird right now.
Well, we have a lot of...
There's a lot of just...
There's something I sort of talked about last year going into the major was, like, so many teams were borderline dead / needing roster changes that, like, it almost made the major itself dead. And that's how we got the result that we did. But with the solidification of our top 4, everything else from there just kind of doesn't really matter, or it's going to be scrambling to make up to catch up to that. And so... Liquid, I think, have potential to do well, but it just feels like now that we have teams that have pulled away from the pack in the truest sense, that even if, Liquid and these other teams from, like, say, the 8 to 16 range, like, even if they are solid, I think they might just get dumpstered against any of the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, and like now looking at stage 3, what teams even at the not stage 3, stage 1, excuse me. What teams even at this level can really do much of anything? I mean, I feel like Heroic can pull something out of their bag and at least be close to playoff contention.
If I had to pick anyone, I'd be with you in picking Heroic as well
And then
as
Complexity isn't going to be playing with Halzerk because he still hasn't gotten his visa approved, as far as I know, right?
As far as I'm aware, it will still be with Junior, which is why I do not have them in my 3-0.
Yeah, I actually same thing. I still have them going through because
Yeah,
like
everyone else is fine.
It's not great competition at the bottom.
No.
But this could be huge for Asia.
I think it could be, but I think
yeah.
another sleeper pick on it as well is OG.
Oh, honestly, yeah. OG has been. It's not like the meme that OG used to be. They actually seem like a tier 2 team that can put up fights and have some like really impressive games against higher tier opponents. I don't necessarily think they're gonna make a playoff run or really make it much further than the first stage, but they do look like fun.
No, but like so Chrisen, rising IGL, Buzz of former Astralis fame, handpicked by Device, Spooky, Fiku, who's there, he's the OG's Reign, and Nikados. Like, that's not a phenomenal team that's going to break into the top 10 or top 8, but that is a team that is entirely capable of, beating everyone else there, in my opinion. I think they even won a CCT this year.
Yeah, they won like season 3, I want to say. I might have that season wrong, but like them, they're not from Asia, but like them, Linvision and Tyloo, the only reason I'd say they're not from Asia is because I brought up 2 other Asian teams,
right?
Are like really fun prospects. Linvision didn't do that well in Dallas. They actually kind of got dumpstered more than I was expecting them to. I didn't think they were gonna do much of anything, but like they did nothing at all.
Right.
But like against the competition that they have in this stage, because it's like NRG looks like shit. Sorry to admit that on a NA.
I kind of felt the same way watching them at Dallas. After seeing them, at Launders Lane and seeing them sort of build up their energy over the course of the year with, George finding his place and OC finding higher form, I was hopeful that they would like get a win. And
I mean, they still like they can still make it out of this stage, but I put Complexity over them. I put Heroic over them. I put Bait over them. Wildcard.
I put BetBoom over them.
Tyloo, BetBoom, OG.
I don't know if I put Tyloo over them.
Dude,
You're more tapped into that than I am.
This is the best Chinese team that's ever existed.
Really?
Yes.
That is
on paper. Not result-wise yet?
Yeah, you mean just like how Cloud9 was going to be one of the best teams to ever exist like 2 years ago? Yeah.
No. Okay, listen, man. What, you talking about the Russian Cloud9?
Yeah, dude. Fucking
yeah. Well, this is different. This is different because they didn't have Mercury. You ever thought about that? They didn't have my boy
is
G.
Jam Young still on this team?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I buy in now.
That's all. That's all
I need to hear.
Fair enough. You know what? While we're talking about the major, let's get a little bit controversial. Just a little bit.
Oh.
Bestia.
Oh. I don't know what to say about that other than, it's a difficult situation on both sides. Richard Lewis, I think, put it very well and succinctly as it started off as, oh, man, that's such a shame. And now it's kind of, fuck off, man. Like,
yeah, like, so I do think that some fault needs to get put towards Blast for maybe not being as clear as they should. And also just like not handling the situation maybe perfectly. I also think Valve should have been more involved, but that's a completely different conversation because it's Valve.
We will never get them off their high throne, sadly.
Yeah, but like Bestia, you kind of got caught in a lie.
Yeah, you
and then haven't admitted to it yet, and it's like, oh, you're not looking the best right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Also, like this may be a gray area. Is posting someone else's visa on social media legal?
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw it, I know they blurred out like most of the important information. It was weird. And then you also you took the time to blur out some of the personal information, but then you left the day of the issue of the visa, and it's like it's.
Free
I do
legacy
still feel
three
bad for
or
them.
free legacy 0-3.
Like, and Legacy should get none of the because
No,
Legacy should have no hate
not the
directed toward them because if you're a group of players and then Valve comes to you and says, "Hey, you're going to compete in the major," no matter what, you're not saying no.
No,
You're saying,
God, no.
"Okay, cool," and I don't care. And none of this should be on the players of Bestia either because this should have all been handled by the org. They incorrectly applied for visas and then claimed to already have them when they didn't, and they got caught red-handed. It sucks.
Yeah, they tried to
I
make a
think,
whole social media storm. They
yeah,
tried to talk to politicians. They tried to do all this stuff. And while if they had correctly followed the processes to achieve or acquire the correct visas and then gone through with that, maybe the results would be different because they're just asking to be allowed to participate after following through on the proper processes. But someone else said, I think it was Messiosa who said the greater breach of competitive integrity would be to remove Legacy and put them back in now because they followed the rules.
100%. 100,000%. You can't, now that it's been said that they're replaced, you can't go back on that.
No.
Because then you just look like the worst. Like, from a TO perspective, Blast would look so bad, and they've already had some things in the past where they haven't looked great, so it would just keep building on that, and it would not be smart.
No, it is a shame. Obviously, very not similar, but similar to the Nine Pandas situation. You never want to see someone who's dreamed to play at the major have that taken from them, and to have the opportunity to have their sticker in game, not even for the monetary windfall, but just for the fact that you get to be a part of your favorite game. It's something you would never wish on someone, and you do hope that these guys will hopefully get another chance by working their ass off in the second half of this year, but who knows what the future holds for them. And I do hold commiserations for the players who either didn't understand the processes or were not privy or participated in them and were sort of at the mercy of others.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but realistically, it's those players are still young. It's
Well, one of them was a 32-year-old veteran, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I thought one of the players was like an actual I can't remember who, but one of them has been playing.
Shit.
That's why it was such a
Yeah, it's Natsuki. I kind of forgot that he was even on the team.
Yeah, no, he is
That's
32 years
unfortunate.
old. He has achieved, according to HLTV, $81,000 in prize money, and this would have been everything to him, likely. So that's probably why it was such a hard-fought battle.
Well, on the bright side, the rest of the team is still young. I actually completely forgot that he was even on the team. And now I feel bad. But
it's okay, man. I can cut that out if you want.
No, it's fine. I pride myself on being the guy that knows really silly things about rosters, and sometimes you lose and you got to get humbled. That's the experience right there. But they did take away a B sticker, which could have been a lot of fun because I saw people making crafts with the sticker would have been, and someone made a boob gun, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's the real tragedy to not have a boob and dick craft, but shout out to the Mongols though for I get that some people don't think it's correct, but I think it is correct for putting their coaching and supporting staff in their signatures. I think Mara getting one, and I can't remember who else got their signature, but one of the other coaching staff members got one. To have that as a sort of sign of respect from their players, I think is a absolutely heartwarming thing to do, as they're the backbone of their team. And coaching, whatever you want to call it, I believe coaching is obviously very important in the scene. I've made my video on it. And to see them get some greater form of recognition would be nice as we are starting to head towards more like, legacy coaches or system coaches, as I guess we could call them, in terms of, Ash, Blade, Saw, Cyclone, these people that come in and just take full command of the entire thing top to bottom as like an almost GM coach. But who knows? I do think the stickers look absolutely bomb as hell, though. They look
Yeah, dude.
incredible for someone who's not a
Yeah.
big skin cell. Oh, it is. They look really good.
Having the belt buckle
The belt
as
buckle is choice, absolutely choice.
dude. I'm not gonna lie. I got a Mongols gold sticker. So gambling pays off, ladies and gentlemen.
Very
But
nice.
no, dude, it's so cool because it's like this is the first sticker in a while that has like real personality to it.
Yes.
I
I actually didn't hate the Rio ones.
I didn't like the Rio ones. I was gonna say that's probably the last one that had anything close to that. But like this is a really cool direction that I don't know. At the end of the day, it is just cosmetic, and it might not matter that much. But to the players and to the teams and the organizations, like you want your thing to look cool if it's going to be in the game for as long as the game exists.
Oh yeah.
So like having personality to each different major and like kind of having a timestamp for when it happened, I think is really cool. So hopefully Valve continues to do that, or maybe they're just being biased to NA, and as soon as the next major happens after Austin, they'll go back to borderless and try to copy Kato.
I hope not, but the real like muhahaha answer would be the more unique more unique stickers you create by making them after the event where it takes place, the more likely they'll have a higher trade volume overall and make you more money because people will want them. So, if all the stickers and signatures end up looking the same, then who cares? But if you can make them more unique, it ends up having a, how shall we say, economic advantage for all parties involved.
Yeah, and Valve.
Yeah, they're broke. They're broke. They need everything they got.
I think they need. Yeah, like we should really be giving them all of our money.
Actually, I'm going to go open a case right now.
But all right. What else is there to talk about?
I think that's pretty much all we need to talk about right now. I mean, we got.
You know what? Really quick, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear your pick'ems as of right now, if you've put thought into them.
In what?
Your pick'ems.
Oh, I missed what you said, so I was like waiting.
Yeah, I know you just got really close, and I was like,
no. I haven't done them. I'm actually going to record my pickups video directly after this. I'm obviously for this crowd, like we talked about before, the stage one of the major, it's a bit more difficult because the teams are not as high level, so there's a bit more variance, and you can have issues. But I definitely have OG and Heroic as my 3-0. I have Legacy as my 0-3, and my other one I'm still debating between Fluxo and the Shigus Warriors. But beyond that, I have Tyloo going through, I have Bait going through, Wildcard, Bet Boom, Metasport, and FlyQuest, I think.
We have very similar ones. I actually need to redo it because I did this with my friend when I was drinking one night, so I gotta rethink
the most
matchups.
informed and intelligent of decisions were
but made. I actually have Heroic and Bait going 3-0.
Bait or Assault?
I think that Bait's just gonna run this stage a little bit, like just based off of individual performances, and then maybe they'll fall off towards the next. But I just vibe check, feel really confident in them, and then 0-3 it's Fluxo Legacy.
Yeah, Fluxo, I also really debated just because ever since they got art, they just haven't done anything.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. I mean, they could... I would pick them to win a game before I would pick Legacy to win a game.
Yes.
Like, no disrespect to them, but like...
Yeah.
That's just... I don't know. I also need to like relook at the bracket, because...
No, because you never want to pick 2 3-0 picks that are going to play each other in the second round if they both win.
Yeah,
so but I never like going that too deep with the simulators and stuff. I like to do the fun, just throw it out there and see what happens. But no, there's pick'ems, but beyond that,
I'll just buy someone a beer. We'll make
there
it work.
you go, a man of international mystery and beer, but. But all right, I will start wrapping us there because I do have to leave for my flight tonight because I have to drive because